Hello and welcome to America, the view from the top. Ajnira? It's a tricky name, but it's a beautiful name, and I'm sure I'm going to get to know it much better because I think I'm going to keep this woman in my life. Welcome to America, the view from the top.
Thank you. Well, I did want to talk about healing, but from a spiritual perspective.
Okay.
Many people think they have a problem in their life or they have a physical issue that's going on, and they don't stop to think about why. And I learned from becoming a channel for the Ascended Masters, who are God, Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, all of the different slices of the God pie. They became my teachers, they became my friends, they came into my life during a time when I was having the biggest crisis of my life. Short history is that I have an MBA and was a senior trader, actually the head of a trading desk for a major securities firm, and I worked on Wall Street for many years. And I basically traded and worked 23 hours a day for an extended period of time, and I didn't understand what the word burnout meant. But I did burn out, and I did melt down, and I started having a lot of physical problems, mental and emotional problems too, because I didn't sleep for many years. And really, a lot of people say if you don't get sleep for 2 weeks, your personality will shatter. Well, I had an extended 3-year period with very little sleep, and it eventually caused my whole life to fall apart. But another reason why I did end up leaving was because I realized that my success in trading was mostly due to the fact that I was psychically tapping in and reading the markets. So all of the studying I did and all of the reading and information gathering I did, trading is so fast-paced that you don't really have time to analyze logical decisions. I just was one with the market, and I just knew what to do. And I thought eventually one point it just dawned on me that maybe I'm supposed to be doing something a little bit more meaningful with this ability. But at the same time, because I am on a mission, because I have signed up for this mission, because the thing that I thought I was born to do, that I was doing that I loved, was not correct, my soul stepped in and yanked me out of the career that I had prepared myself for.
Okay.
And I was so ill that I really had to pay attention to that. So only 30 years old, I retired, but I had enough money to go on a spiritual quest and to finance my further education, to retool myself for my actual mission in life.
Okay.
So I knew myself to be born to do something different than what I was under the impression. But your soul will do that. Your soul will, with the heavy hand, take you to the divine plan that you've organized ahead of time that you are going to meet with eventually. But all the experiences that you choose to put yourself through add and somehow accumulate and make you more and more prepared for the journey that you're going to take. So I became very ill, and I sought spiritual guidance and advice, and I had like an awakening experience where these beings, celestial beings, came actually into my presence in my house. Now, I was very ill, and so you could say that maybe I was hallucinating, or you could say any number of things, but I knew I had these experiences. They weren't something that I read in a book. They were mine. I experienced them. So, under the guidance and tutelage of these celestial beings, I was taught day after day. In fact, I kind of was isolated at that point in my life where every day that's all I did was ask questions, write down answers, and connect. And they basically were able to guide me to all the resources and answers that I needed. And I came to understand that it wasn't an accident that I was in that physical condition and facing those challenges, but that it was part of my journey, and a very important part, because I, as a future healer at that time, was supposed to go through my own crisis and see how I got out of it, and then become a way shower for others. So every time someone brings me an issue that seems to be stopping their life, and of course a lot of people come to me to help change their life for the better and they're not experiencing a crisis, But when I have the privilege of being, the way shower and the coach when someone is in a real crisis, then I feel like that's my strongest attribute. That's when I really shine, because I know how frightening it is. I know how hopeless and alone and disconnected we feel when we're having a crisis and a health issue like the ones that anything can really stop your life, because the fabric of this reality is very thin, and it takes very little for things to spiral out of control, actually in either direction. Every moment that we live, we take a breath, we make a choice, we cause the course of our life to alter. So I say that every illness and every problem is a spiritual one, and that spirituality is the key that unlocks all doors.
And I believe that, because I think I grew with my illness, and I think I still do. It's an experience that it gives you more courage, gives you strength, it gives you an insight into things that you seem to know outcomes of, and it's a way to help give peace to other people too that don't know it, don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know how to put it, but somehow
it puts you in touch with your truth. Right?
Yeah, and people listen to me sometimes and they say, you're like a moderator. Would you come and talk? Like somebody just asked me to talk to their teenage girls at the church, because we think you have something that you can tell them that would help them in their growing up stage. And I thought, I know I can do that.
Yeah, and you're happy to do it.
Yeah, of course. It's what we're supposed to be doing, is to help others.
Absolutely. I was on a mission because I was going to save my own life, and of course I came in contact with just the right people, and my intuition was magnified exponentially by the experiences that I'd had in communication with the guidance that I called upon, and that and I also went and got spiritual healing training, and I became a pranic healer, and learned how to manipulate energy and learned how to raise energy, and I understand the mechanism of healing, which is actually raising frequency and raising vibration.
I guess I know that today. She really took my pain away earlier. Couldn't tell you what was happening, but it happened, and she took care of it, and didn't go for any of my drops, my cramp bark. I didn't need it today.
You didn't need anything because you had someone that knew where to pull the negative energy out of you, and then it was no longer a problem. So, all healing is about energy, because we are energetic, and the medium that we exist in is an energetic environment. So, when you understand energy and you understand your composition, then you look toward that first. Now, we do work in various densities. So when we use food and nutrition and herbs and all of these physical things, it's true that they are physical, but they're also energetic. And so they're just at different densities. And so we use those different ingredients, you could say, to tweak our own energy and to help our process, because illness mostly has to do with low frequency energy and blocked energy. Mm-hmm. So we use substances that can help the natural pathways open, and the system of Chinese medicine and the system of Ayurvedic medicine knows that very clearly, and for 5,000 years has been an effective way of treating people. It's just that Western medicine has a totally different approach, and they look at things separate from one another. But
it's all about money. Western medicine is all about money. And since I have grandmothers that were Indian medicine women.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I come to believe now that what they were doing for us when I was a child, because we never went to the doctor. My grandmothers would go out in the woods and get things and come back and give it to us.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear more about that.
And I used to say, that's voodoo. When I'm big, I'm going to do real medicine. And when I got big and I did real medicine, I found that there was something lacking in there. When I became allergic to all medications, then I had to find...
That was a big sign.
Yeah.
That was a spiritual heavy hand to push you off the path that was going to be self-destructive.
Yep. So now I decided these doctors were saying to me, we don't know how to help you. Well, okay, and now I started reading and trying to find.
You were on your own.
20 years now going into it, which I know a lot of things that have worked for me. And that's what I try to bring out to others as well. Share it,
I think we have to once we know better. It's almost like the difference between when, you're being lied to or when there's a lie and then all of a sudden the lie is revealed and unmasked. Hopefully we never go back to living with the lie again.
No, we don't want that. We need to clean that out, and we need to start fresh. Every day has to be a new beginning.
I love that. I say I start every day with a blank slate.
Well, I start every day saying, God, this is your day. Lead me into it, and let me meet godly people. I only want godly people. I don't like to deal with the others, but sometimes I do anyhow. But it's okay because it's a reason why I did meet them. Maybe I can change their hearts, change their minds.
Well, God usually, when I, channel God specifically, God is very intelligent. It's this all-encompassing, hyper-intelligent, loving, conscious being that basically says there's nothing that's not God. So when you say God-like, not God-like, I mean, you're just choosing a certain section of the God energy.
I'm slicing it.
Yeah, you're saying this is more God-like than that, but, all things are synthesized by the alchemist and transformed to the greater good and the highest.
Of course, of course. And I truly believe that we have a page in our daily lives. It was written before we even did it. And I know that we were meant to be here today talking.
And the fact that it happened in such a synchronistic way also. I think I was mentioning before in the last segment how when you're tapped in and, when you have your psychic ability turned on and you're really using it, that your life becomes very synchronistic. And so that's what happened with our meeting, because I just happened to walk at the right time, at the right place, and met someone who introduced you and I, and then the next minute I knew I was preparing the talk that we're having now.
Well,